Hello, friends, and welcome to this online webinar for how to improve your oral fluency and pronunciation so that you can ace your speaking section for the PTE test. So, in today's session, what we are going to do is I would be answering some of the questions that normally students who are appearing for PTE or candidates who are about to appear for PTE have these questions normally in their mind. So what we are going to do is I have selected a set of 10 questions, and I would be answering those questions, and after the end of that presentation I would be taking up question and answers from you. So let's begin straight away. And I just have two instructions for you before we begin. The first is that I request all of you to keep a pen and paper handy so that you can make notes of the important things. And the second thing is that please write your questions on the notepad, and please ask those questions at the end of this webinar so that we can maintain a smooth flow of the entire webinar. Thank you. So we'll begin the webinar now. All right, so we begin with the first or the most basic question that people tend to have regarding the oral fluency, or there is normally a certain confusion regarding what exactly oral fluency is. So when we talk in term, oral fluency has a lot of definitions. If you go online, you would find a variety of definition by various sources, but the definition that we are looking at from the point of view of PTE is this. Oral fluency just means smooth, effortless, and natural paced delivery of speech, which means you have to speak smoothly, and when you speak, it should seem as if you are not making any extra effort to speak those words, and whatever you speak is in a natural pace. So when we say natural pace, it does not mean that you speak very fast nor very slow. The pace should be as of a native speaker, which is a natural speed of speaking, the way you speak in your native tongue, the pace that you have when you're talking, when you're doing conversations in your native tongue, that is the pace that is expected when we say that a natural paced delivery of speech. And this entirely can be summed up can be simply summed up by saying this, that there should be no or ah sounds when you're speaking. So if you're speaking, and this normally happens when we do our day-to-day conversations, we tend to have a lot of ums and ers when we are speaking. So we can call it that there is a lot of umming and erring while speaking, but this is what you have to avoid when you are appearing for the PTE. This is exactly what is expected when we say that what is oral fluency. So for all the tasks of PTE, you have to maintain this, that you don't have any umming, erring, or any sounds of ah when you're speaking. All right, now what is pronunciation? So from the perspective of PTE, pronunciation is basically the production of speech sounds in a way that is easily understandable to most regular speakers of the language, which means that if you're speaking very fast, if you're speaking in with a lot of pace, but the words that you're speaking, if they are not comprehensible, that means that your pronunciation score can go down. That means that your pronunciation is not as expected. So pronunciation would necessarily mean that you are the sound that you make should be for each word should be easily understandable to the most regular speakers of that language. And in this case, that language is English. So when you're speaking, it should be easily understandable for the regular English speakers. Now, there is one question that I normally get is that, do I need to have a specific accent like a native speaker, and do I need to make the exact sounds as native speaker? So let me tell you that Pearson accepts regional or national varieties of English pronunciation, and but that is to a degree that these pronunciations are easily understandable to most regular speakers of the language. So if you are saying a word, and if that particular word is said in a way that the other person, I mean a native speaker, is able to easily understand, then that sound or that pronunciation of that particular word would be accepted in the PTE test and would be considered as correct. So let us take an example of the word tomato. So the word tomato is pronounced by people of different regions or different nationalities in different ways. You can call it as tomato. Some people call it a tomato. Some people call it a tomato. So all these normal slight variations would be accepted. But if you just say it as tom-atto, that is what is not accepted. So this is what actually pronunciation is when we talk in terms of PTE. So to give you a brief idea, fluency is a smooth fluency is basically the smooth, effortless, and natural paced delivery of speech where you don't have any or unnecessary when you are speaking, which is not very normal when you have when we have our day-to-day conversations, but we have to make sure that that doesn't happen when you are giving the PTE test. And pronunciation can be summed up in a way. We can say that pronunciation essentially means that you have to speak in an easily understandable way that most of the regular speakers are able to understand. So the sounds that you make should be easily comprehensible. And the regional and national varieties of pronunciation are considered correct. So you don't need to worry about certain variations. However, you just need to make sure that your variation in your pronunciation should not be to a degree where it becomes difficult to understand, or the meaning of that particular word completely changes. So you need to keep that in mind when you're practicing for fluency and pronunciation. Now, the very next question that comes in mind is that how important is oral fluency and pronunciation for the PTE test? So let me tell you that oral fluency and pronunciation is very, very important for the speaking section of PTE. And since the speaking section there are a lot of tasks in speaking section that are integrated to other sections. So if you have a good score, or if you are performing good in the speaking section, that also affects the score of your listening and reading section. So the better you perform in speaking section, the better your score goes for the listening and the reading section as well. So how important is oral fluency and pronunciation within the speaking section? How much does it contribute? So if you look at the screen, you'll see that the part or the share that has been marked in blue color is the weightage of oral fluency and pronunciation in the speaking section. That means oral fluency and pronunciation almost has a weightage of 2/3, because it contributes to your read aloud, it contributes to your repeat sentences, it contributes to your describe image, and it also contributes to your retell lecture. And for each of these tasks, oral fluency would contribute almost 2/3 of the entire score. So if one task, say read aloud, one read aloud would have 15 marks. So 5 marks would come from content, but 10 marks come from oral fluency and pronunciation. So your entire score for the speaking section, the 2/3 of the score depends on how well you have performed in the oral fluency and pronunciation. So this is the importance of oral fluency and pronunciation for the speaking section. And because speaking section has tasks that are integrated to the listening and reading section, so you also need to be aware that, or you also need to keep this in mind, that oral fluency and pronunciation would also indirectly affect your score for the listening and reading section. Right. So now moving to the next part, that if oral fluency and pronunciation is this important, then how do I get, or how do I get the perfect oral fluency and pronunciation score? How do I ensure that I get the perfect oral fluency and pronunciation score? And in turn, how do you get the maximum score for your PTE speaking section? So to get the perfect score for oral fluency, what you need is, you need to speak in a way, you need to have a smooth rhythm and phrasing. You need to be smooth when you are speaking. That means without any ah or sounds um, uh, between words when you are speaking, or in between the sentences. And there should be no hesitations, no repetitions, no false starts. That means you just start with a word and then you stop and then you again start. That is not accepted. And there should be no non-native phonological simplifications. That means that if there is a particular word, you should not break down that word in a way that it becomes incomprehensible. You are not able to the meaning of the word completely changes. So for example, I gave you the currently I gave you the example of tomato. So if you break the word into to, then that becomes a non-native phonological simplification of that particular word, which completely can say that it completely changes the meaning of that actual word. So this is something that you have to avoid if you want to get a perfect score for oral fluency. And how then could you get a good score or a perfect score for pronunciation? So to get a perfect score of pronunciation, what you need is, you need to uh, produce the sounds of all the vowels and consonants in a way that is easily understood by all the regular speakers of that particular language. So whenever you come across words that have vowels and consonants, the correct stress should be placed on each word. Um, then the second point is that the speaker, that means the person who is speaking or you, should use assimilation and deletions appropriate to the continuous speech. That means that when you are speaking, you should group the correct group of words. You should club the words that create a meaning in the sentence that you are speaking, and does not break the flow of that particular sentence. And finally, it is very important to place correct stress, or to place stress correctly on all the words, and place the stress within the sentence, or the so what we mean by this is that you stress on the keywords at the end of the sentence. When the sentence is about to end, the sound or your pitch, it decreases. So that is what sentence level stress is. You are stressing on the important words, and then when you're about to end the sentence, you slightly decrease your voice in a way that creates a proper meaning that helps the other person to understand what you are saying. So managing to speak fluently and pronunciation is slightly difficult, is a bit of challenge, and you need a lot of practice to overcome this challenge. So to put it very simply, you can say that to maintain the fluency and pronunciation at the same time, and to ensure that you are performing well in both these on both these enabling skills, is like running the lemon and spoon race. So when you're running the lemon and spoon race, you have to ensure that you maintain your speed, you maintain your flow, but at the same time the lemon does not fall off from the spoon. In the same way, in speaking section of PTE, you need to ensure that you are maintaining the fluency, you're maintaining your pace, you're speaking smoothly without any or but at the same time you also are making sure that you do not let the lemon fall off the spoon. That means you do not make um, any sounds that are non-native, or you do not pronounce the words in a manner that it becomes difficult for the listener to understand, or it becomes difficult for the speakers of native language to understand. So this is a sort of balance that you need to maintain. You need to maintain your speed, or your pace, and at the same time you need to make sure that you do not mispronounce any word. And at the same time you also need to make sure, to get a good score in the content part, you also need to make sure that you do not add, omit, repeat, or replace any word. So it is a balance of all the things. But is it impossible? No, it is not impossible. In fact, it is very easy, provided you practice. So all the things that you need to maintain a balance, just as in all the things in life, same here in PTE. To maintain a balance, you need a certain set of discipline. You need to make sure that you do not overdo any of the skill. You don't focus too much on the fluency and ignore the pronunciation. At the same time, you don't focus too much on the pronunciation and ignore the fluency. And another thing is that you focus on fluency and pronunciation, but if you ignore the content part, even then it becomes a bit difficult to get the perfect score. So to get the perfect score for speaking, you need to it would be, you can say that it would be a combination or balance of all these things. You need to have a smooth rhythm and phrasing. At the same time, you need to make sure that there are no hesitations, no repetitions, no false starts. And at the same time, you also need to make sure that you speak in a manner that is easily understood by regular speakers of that language, that is English. And you have to stress all the words correctly, and at the same time you have to stress the sentences correctly. So I mean, you need to make a balance of all these things, and at the same time you also need to be accurate when you're speaking. So if you combine all these things, then you're going to win your race. You're going to get a perfect score for speaking. So this is the combination, or this is the combination of things that you need to keep in mind when you're aiming for getting a perfect score for fluency and pronunciation. Now comes the very natural question, or the next question, that how can I improve my fluency, or how can I improve my pronunciation? So many candidates have a question that when I try to focus on the fluency, I tend to make mistakes in the pronunciation, and if I focus too much on pronunciation, then I am facing problem in the fluency part. Or if you're able to manage both of them, you might be facing problem in maintaining the accuracy of the entire text, or what you want to speak. So to maintain the accuracy, to balance the fluency and pronunciation, you need practice, and at the same time, you need to use certain resources that would help you to improve your fluency and pronunciation. So the first or the basic thing that you need to do to improve your fluency and pronunciation is to regularly practice speaking. And for that, the most essential thing, or the basic thing that you need, is that you need to find a conversation partner, a person, an individual with whom you can have day to day, you can have a conversation on day to day basis, a person or an individual with whom you can talk on day to day basis in English language. Now what happens to most of the speakers who are non-native speakers, or who have English as a second language? I mean, English is not their first language. um, so just like me. So what happens with us is that we do not get a lot of opportunities to speak in English during our during the course of entire day. We do not have the opportunity. Maybe we get some opportunity to speak during the work, but otherwise, in most of the countries where English is not used as a first language, we find it very difficult to speak English during the course of the day. So the best thing, or the easiest thing to do, would be to find a conversation partner. And as we all know that it is very difficult to find conversation partners in and around our friends or family, or even if we find them, we always have a fear, or we always have a doubt of people judging us. People who know us, we have a certain set of insecurity when we speak in front of them. So how do we manage, or what is the solution to that? So the solution to that is to find a conversation partner, and the best resource to do is to join the PTE Tutorials Telegram group. So we have a group on the messaging app, the instant messaging app Telegram. There is a group of PTE tutorials. You can directly go to the website of PTE tutorials and get the link of joining that app, or of joining that group. And from there, there are many members. Right now we have more than 3,000 members on the group. So you can find your conversation partner on that group, and you can help each other to regularly talk in English with each other, and to regularly practice and improve your fluency and pronunciation. There are few other sources as well, there are few websites available on internet that would help you to find out conversation partners, and these are some of them. You have My Language Exchange, you have Open Language Exchange, then there is one Conversation Exchange, there is a website called Tandem, and there is a website called Fluent2. So you can go to all these websites, you can visit this website, you can place in your requirements and find a suitable partner for them. So this is another way of finding partners, but I would still suggest to go for PTE Tutorials Telegram group, because the candidates that you will find here, or the conversation partners that you would find over here, would necessarily be people who will be people just like you, aiming to get a good score in PTE. So if you join that group, if you find conversation partners from that group, it would be very helpful to you as well as to the other person. So at the same time, two people are getting benefited, and the aim of both the people is, or both the persons, is common. You both are aiming for the score in PTE. So I would suggest this is the first source, and these are the other sources you can try. But still, here you might find conversation partners, but not necessarily people who are aiming to get a score in PTE. So the first suggestion would be to go for the PTE Tutorials Telegram group. So this would be the basic technique that you can use, or the basic thing that you can follow to start your pronunciation and fluency practice. But and there are a lot of people who have odd working hours, or who find it difficult to find conversation partners, or it becomes difficult for them to match time with the other group members for having a conversation. So there are a few other tools, or in fact there are a few other techniques that I would share with you that would help you to improve your oral fluency and pronunciation. So the first technique is the first and the technique that most of my students have used. I personally recommend and is one of my favorite techniques is shadowing. So what do we understand, or what is the meaning of shadowing? So people who do not have an idea about shadowing, let me explain it very briefly. Shadowing is listening to fluent native speakers and repeating right after them. So what you do is you just go to YouTube, open the channel, you just log in, you just open any video of TED Talks, TED, or you open the video of any of the fluent native speakers, like Denzel Washington, or maybe Simon Sinek, or Peter Dinklage. Just open their YouTube videos, listen to what they are saying, and as you listen the first sentence, and you repeat the first sentence, and then he or she says the second sentence, and you listen to the second sentence and you repeat the second sentence. So the process is something like this. You're listening to a sentence, and as soon as the person finishes or completes the sentence, you're repeating it, then you're listening to the next one and then repeating it. This technique is wonderful technique to improve your fluency. This technique is wonderful technique to improve your listening skills. This technique is a wonderful technique that you can do, that you do not need a computer, or you do not need to spend separate time doing this activity. This can be done while you're traveling. This can be done while you are doing some day-to-day activities, or doing some work, household work. You can do this technique. You can practice it at that time. So this does not need a special time of the day to practice. You can practice it while you're lying down in the afternoon, catching a nap. You can do it any time of the day. You are jogging, you are exercising, you go to the gym, you can do it. So this is the best part of this activity. Now there are a few things that I want to tell you regarding this particular technique, to people who are already practicing it and people who would start practicing this. The first thing is that please choose the audios or videos that have the correct difficulty level. All right. So I'll explain this, but before that, I'll also tell you that it's not necessary to just go to YouTube, and that is the first or basic source that I told you. But I really prefer that you go to download some podcasts, or you download audio recordings. So instead of focusing just on videos, I would suggest that you directly focus on audios, because videos sometimes, when you're watching a video, just by the just by looking at the speaker, just by observing his or her hand movements or body movements, your concentration also is divided towards that. But when you're just listening to an audio, your concentration is completely on words and the way those words are being said. So the first, or personally I would prefer that you watch audios, you listen to audios, and those audios could be from podcasts. And podcasts is an application that is available both on iOS and Android, so you can directly download a lot of podcasts there. Now, when you download this audios and when you're listening to the audios, there are a few things that you need to keep in mind. So people who are already practicing it, or people who would start practicing it now, you need to keep a few things in mind. The first is, please choose the correct difficulty level of the audio. So what I mean by the correct difficulty level is that please do not choose audios that are very simple for you to understand, something that you can understand very simply. So if there is a topic that you're very familiar about, I would suggest that please do not listen to the audios of that topic if they are very simple for you to understand. At the same time, Do not choose something that is very difficult for you to understand. That means you're not able to neither you're able to listen to the words and understand the meaning of words, neither you're able to understand the overall message that the speaker is trying to give. So if you listen to that kind of audios, that would not also be the correct difficulty level for you. So the best difficulty level is that you're listening to audios where you're able to get the overall meaning, you're able to get most of the words, but you're just struggling to get a few words. Uh, so if you start doing that kind of audios, and then slowly you increase the difficulty level, so that would be the best way to do this particular activity. So choose a correct difficulty level. Don't choose something very simple, don't choose something very difficult. So for example, if you are an if you are an IT engineer and an IT engineer, and if you just start listening to things related to networking, some simple talk related to networking that you are aware about, you have a very good idea about, that would not have any addition to your actual ability for PTE, because in PTE you do not know what the audio you're going to listen. I mean, what would be the content of the audio that you're going to listen next. So there would be audios in retell lecture, there would be sentences, there would be audios in repeat sentence, summarize the spoken text. So you're listening to a lot of audio. So this is a practice, a simultaneous practice of listening and speaking. So what I suggest is that please choose the correct difficulty level and choose a variety of topics. Choose topics that you're not familiar with. Okay. And the second important thing that I would like to tell you is that don't worry if you don't get all the words. That means do not worry if you are not able to repeat all the words. Sometimes it would happen that you would be able to listen to six, 7 or 8 words that the speaker has said, but you might not be able to repeat all of them because of the speed, because you don't have enough time to repeat them. So that's okay, don't worry, but keep on doing this, and you would see miraculous results in just a span of a week or two. You'd start seeing the difference, you'd start observing the difference. Okay, so make sure that you do this. And what is very important is that whenever you do the practice of shadowing, if possible, try and record whatever you are speaking, and then listen to what you're speaking, and that would help you to understand if you're making some common type of mistakes. If you're making mistakes, some mistakes that you make commonly, you would be able to get those mistakes. Now there are a few other techniques as well. The now for first, but before we move to that, one more thing about shadowing is that whenever you're shadowing, your main focus should be to see, or should be to observe that how the speaker is speaking, and not what he or she is speaking, but how he or she is speaking. So your main focus, your core focus, should be on how the speaker is speaking, the way he or she is pronouncing the words, the way he or she is stressing on some words, the way he or she is maintaining the sentence level stress. That means the stress within the sentence. Try and focus on all these aspects. Just don't focus on listening and understanding what is being said, but also focus on these parameters. Also focus on the stress, also focus on sentence level stress, also focus on the pronunciation of certain words, and this would definitely help you. And try and, if possible, try and imitate, try and adapt those stresses, try and adapt those pronunciations, and it would be really helpful. In a short span of time, you'll be able to improve both your pronunciation, you'll be able to work on your fluency, and at the same time you'll be working on your listening. So this one technique would help you in many tasks in PT. It would help you in all the tasks related to speaking, it would help you in all the tasks related to listening. So I would suggest that you at least practice this for half an hour to 1 hour every day. Okay. And apart from shadowing, the next technique that we have is is very simple. You don't need to spend a lot of time on that technique, and that technique is called, this is mainly focused on improving your fluency, and it is focused on one more thing. I'll tell you what that is. So many non-native speakers face a particular problem. They say that I have a lot of thoughts in my mind, I have a lot of ideas in my mind, but when it comes to speaking those ideas, I'm not able to maintain the fluency. I'm not able to maintain the balance between the thoughts and the words. That means when I try to speak what I'm thinking, the words just don't come out of the mouth. They just get stuck there. So what can be done about that? So yes, we have a technique for that. You can practice that technique, and that would help you to maintain a balance, or not exactly a balance, but to create a smooth flow of words, to maintain a smooth flow of words. So the ideas that you would be thinking, you would be able to easily speak that out as words. So the technique that you can use for that practice is 1 minute speaking. So what is 1 minute speaking? It's a very simple thing. What you need to do is, you can ask your friend, or you can just do it by yourself. Write down some simple topics. The simple topics could be like a computer, a watch, it could be Australia, it could be PTE, it could be speaking, it could be my city, or my town, or my car. It could be any simple topic. Write down 10, 12, 20 simple topics in small chits of papers and put them in your bag. Now, what you do is, whenever you get time, whenever you're free, when you're not surrounded by anyone, and you are at ease, just take out one chit from that. Open the chit and see what the topic is. Now, there is only, you open this chit, you see the topic, and now you know the topic. Say, for example, your topic is a computer, and you just see that topic. Okay, you keep the chit aside, you count 3, 2, 1, and you start. You start speaking about a computer for 1 minute, without thinking, without giving yourself the time to think about it. As soon as you open the chit, and you see the topic, and 3, 2, 1, start speaking. Now, there is only one rule for this 1 minute speaking activity, and that rule is, do not stop in between. Just keep on speaking. Just keep on speaking. You do not stop. It could be, if you could have a topic like this. You could have a topic, a clock or a watch, and you could just speak about the topic. That watch is a very essential part of a person's life, and watch shows time. And watch, I can see a watch in front of me, and the watch has hands, and there is a hand for seconds, and there is a hand for hours, and you just keep on speaking whatever comes to your mind. You just keep on speaking for 1 minute. You do not stop. Whatever comes here, speak it out. Whatever comes here, speak it out. Do not stop. At the same time, make sure that you're recording yourself. Once the minute is over, stop and listen to what you spoke. Find out how many times did you how many times did you how many times you made the sound of ah. Find that out. Try, keep on practicing, and you would improve. A very simple technique, nothing complicated about it. Just a few chits of papers in your bag. That's it. A timer that can be on your phone. It could be separately on your watch, on a clock. That's it. You don't need anything. As simple as that. So practice 1 minute speaking, and yes, you definitely have a lot of topics for 1 minute speaking that are available online. You just need to go online, find out topics for 1 minute speaking, get a list of that, write down, make chits, have those 20, 25, 30 chits in your bag, practice every day. You just need 1 minute to listen, and 1 minute to speak, and then 1 minute to listen to whatever you've spoken, 1 minute to listen to the recording, trying to identify what you're doing. Believe me, this technique is very helpful for non-native speakers, people who do not have the opportunity to speak English as a part of their day-to-day life. people who find it difficult to find conversation partners, this is a very, very helpful technique for them. Okay. Now comes the very next question, or a very important thing that you need to keep in mind whenever you're doing activities like you are listening to your conversation, you are practicing with your conversation partners, or you're doing shadowing, or you're doing 1 minute 1 minute speaking, or you are doing any type of activity to improve your speaking. Make sure that you always record yourself. Okay, make sure that you always record yourself, and then listen to the recording, evaluate the mistakes that you're making. All right, now the next one more technique that would essentially be helpful to improve your skill of reading and speaking. So that skill is it's just a very, very simple thing you have to do. You have to every day you need to read at least 1,000 words. You need to read them aloud and just record what you read, because in the PT test you have 6 to 7 read alouds, and the average length or the average number of words in each read aloud is 60. So on an average you anyways are reading around 360 words in one PT test, and you have to read that aloud. So the best practice for that is that you at least read 1,000 words aloud every day and record what you're reading. Try and just practice that, because even if you have the even if you are good at English, even if you have studied even if you have done schooling in an English medium school, but that practice of read aloud is somewhere you don't get you won't have got the opportunity of practicing read aloud for a long time, and it becomes difficult when you start reading aloud all of a sudden. So you need to maintain the balance, and as we discussed, you need to maintain the balance between fluency, pronunciation, and content. So to maintain this balance, you need to practice reading aloud and recording what you are reading. Record it, check it, evaluate, see that how many mistakes you have made from the transcript. Just try and figure it out. That would help you to understand where do you stand in terms of reading aloud. Now, another question that I get normally is that, do I need to practice read aloud even if I'm an avid reader? Which means even if I just, whenever I see a book, I just start reading it, and that is my habit. So do I need to practice read aloud? Yes, even avid readers need to practice read aloud. Even if you have the habit of reading, even if you are reading one book every week, or even if you are reading one book every month, or even if you are reading 20-30 pages every day, still you need to practice read aloud, because reading without just reading, I mean, you're not speaking while reading, I mean, you're not reading aloud, and when you read aloud, it's a lot different. It's a lot different. The skills that you are using when you're reading aloud would be different from what you would be doing when you're practicing, when you're just reading. So even those readers would need to practice read aloud, right? Now, so basically these are the few techniques that or methods that you can use to improve your day-to-day fluency, and this would be helpful for both non-native as well as native speakers, because what happens with native speakers is that you have the habit of speaking English every day, but then it becomes difficult for native speakers in PT. They are not able to get the score because they might not be able to maintain the balance between fluency, pronunciation, and content. They might have wonderful fluency, but might have problem with pronunciation, or they might have wonderful fluency in pronunciation, but just because of the lack of practice, they would start making mistakes when it comes to the content part. So even the native and non-native speakers both have to definitely practice. Now, so the next question that I normally get is, do I need to practice every day for improving my oral fluency and pronunciation? Yes, you definitely have to practice every single day, because the famous African proverb that you heard, little by little, a little becomes a lot. A small change in the way you speak, a small change, a slight change in the pronunciation of certain words would at the end have a big cumulative difference to your actual way of speaking, to your score. And how many days do I need to practice? Well, this depends from individual to individual, but you need to remember that when you evaluate yourself, um, you get a better view of how you were performing in the past and how you are performing in the present. So you need to understand this, that you need to practice till you are able to maintain a proper balance between fluency, pronunciation, and accuracy. That means you are having a smooth, you're speaking smoothly without umming and erring, but at the same time you're placing the correct stress on words, you're placing the correct stress within the sentences, and you're pronouncing the words correctly, and you're not missing, adding, omitting, or replacing words in read aloud, or you are speaking related to the content in describe image. If till that time you're not able to maintain this balance between the three things, you need to keep on practicing. So this would differ from person to person. So you need to make sure that you when you're practicing, you evaluate yourself, record yourself, and then identify that do you need to do more practice, or you're good. And if you have any doubts, please seek professional help. Send your recordings, get them checked, get them verified. If you're still facing some problems, we have online one-to-one sessions for on PTE tutorials. You can just attend an online session for 2 hours and get a customized timetable or get a customized plan of how you should practice, how what is the suitable way for you to practice. So what we do is we have a conversation with you, we talk with you, our tutors would talk with you, understand your strengths and weaknesses, understand that how much time you have to practice, and based on that our tutors would guide you to guide and help you to make a timetable that would be customized for you, and it would help you to understand that for how many days you need to practice, and what is the level that you need to reach in order to get your desired score. Your desired score could be 90, it could be 79, it could be 65, or it could be even 58. Doesn't matter. You need to you you need a certain level of balance between fluency, pronunciation, and accuracy. And to get that, you can get a professional help on by attending the online batches, or the group coaching, or just any other professional services. And you can download and log on to the you can download and join the PT tutorials Telegram group, where even there you can post your questions and queries, and there will be uh, there are uh, trainers, guides, and some very helpful members who are always ready to help you. So I would suggest that these are the sources that you can use, or you can, yeah, these are the sources for your practice. All right, so this was all about fluency and pronunciation. Now I'm ready to take the questions. So please post all your questions in the Q&A box, and I would try to answer all the questions. Okay, so the first question that we have here is, how can we practice to slow down pace or speaking. How can we practice to slow down pace or speaking? That means if you are speaking very fast and you need to, okay, how can we practice to slow down pace or speaking? Well, uh, for that, what you need to do is you need to actually focus on accuracy. You need to actually focus on giving the importance to each and every word. So I would suggest that shadowing would be the best method that you can follow. Okay. Shiva Rudrama says that, can you please read out one or two sentences so that we can have a reference for fluency? Okay, so the same question that you've written, I'll just read it. Hello, sir. Can you please read out one or two sentences so that we can have a reference for fluency and pronunciation? Okay. And the next is Savan Mehta. How can we, okay. Okay. How can we improve in retail? You can just work on fluency, Savan. As we talk, practice 1 minute speaking. That would be helpful in both retail and describe image for the speaking part. Okay, do you recommend to use speech recognition program? It's not detecting many of my words. David asked this question. Okay, David, I personally recommend to use it to get an overview of how you are performing. But if it is, if you are facing a problem, I would suggest that you please take a professional help and just attend at least one online session and get your recordings reviewed. That would be the best way to approach it. Okay, Gulati says that, is there any app to evaluate your speaking that will be same as PTE test computer? See, there is no app that is as accurate as the PTE, or PTE has different algorithms compared to other apps. So it would be very difficult to say that any app has the exact same evaluation techniques. But yes, there are a lot of parameters on which PTE assesses the speaking, and that parameters have been meticulously noted down by our team of experts. So what I would suggest is that record whatever you have and attend online one-to-one session and get that assessed and get inputs that where do you need to actually improve. That would be a better way of approaching this. Okay, Bhanu Prakash says that I heard when you imitate the speakers, you will get more marks. Is that true? All right, Bhanu Pratap, Bhanu Prakash, I'm sorry. You're right. You when you're imitating, see, it depends on that how accurately you are repeating the stress. So by imitating, if you are trying to say that if you are imitating the pronunciation, but if you're not able to focus on the stress, it could be difficult. So what I'm saying is here that when you're imitating the speaker, if you're able to balance the pronunciation, fluency, and the accuracy component, then yes, even if you imitate, it's all right. Sumit Sharma says original accent. Yep, Sumit, to a degree that your original accent is okay, to a degree that it does not create confusion, it does not change the meaning of what you're saying. Dhaval Chaudhary is asking that is recording will be shared later or not? I missed the first 30 minutes of the session. All right, Dhaval, that question will be answered by the IT support team. I am not that good at computers and recording and stuff, so I don't have much idea about this, but yes, they'll respond to your question. Lonat says, how do I improve describe image? I'm right now we are talking about the fluency component of the speaking task. So when you're talking about, see, describe images, evaluating the image is a different thing, and speaking is a different thing. But yes, in describe image, how you speak is more important than what you speak. So if you focus on fluency and pronunciation, yes, it would definitely be helpful. Sylvia says that how many mock tests should we attempt before the real exam? Okay, this is a very good question. I would like to answer that. You should, in fact, what I personally suggest is that 1 week before your exam, what you do is at the same exact time of your exam. So if you have an exam on Saturday at 3 p.m., I would suggest that at 3 p.m. every day from Monday to Friday for 6 days, just sit at your home, create an environment just like that, you just like as if it would be an exam hall, and give a mock test for 6 days, in consecutive 6 days, just 6 days before the day of your test. And I would suggest do it at the same time if possible. Okay. One question is that I have a stammering problem, and how do I improve my fluency and pronunciation? Now, I would like to say that here in PTE, even if you have a stammering problem, that there's nothing much it can be done about it. You have to seek professional help for that. Okay, David says, how do I know if my pace is appropriate? Okay, so again, I would suggest, David, that you get it assessed once. That would be the best way. But yes, there is if you're able to finish that 60 words in read aloud in around, say, 25 to 26 seconds, then you can say that your pace is appropriate. Okay, Supreet asked one good question, that if in read aloud one difficult word comes which affects our fluency, can we skip it? So Supreet, in the entire lecture, I always mentioned, or I always stress, that you need to maintain a balance between fluency, pronunciation, and accuracy. So if you skip a word, that means you would be losing marks in accuracy, which would again impact your overall score for the entire for that particular task. Even if you're able to pull off the score in fluency, and the way you'll be able to pull off or increase some of certain improve your score to a certain extent on the speaking part or the fluency part, but still that does not mean that you would also have a good score in the other aspects of content and in the same. So if you do that in, say, read aloud, you could always expect to get a lower score for reading. Okay. Should we follow some template for DI and RL? Okay, as long as you are making sure that you are not compromising on the content part. That means, so for whatever you're speaking, so if you speak for, say, 30 seconds, and in those 30 seconds, if you speak the words that you speak, if maximum words or a majority of words are related to that particular image or that particular lecture that you're talking about, then it's okay if you follow a sort of structure, not exactly a template, but a sort of structure or a way of speaking, so that you're comfortable while you're speaking. It's all right. But if you go for a template that does not have that is not relevant, you might be able to pull off score for speaking, but when you look at your score for listening, I mean, for the retail, it could have impact on the score. And yes, even for describe image, if you are scored 0 on the content, to everyone, I'd like to tell this, that if you simply follow a template, if you blindly follow a template, and if you do not talk about relevant aspects, you might be able to pull off in 1 or 2 questions. But if you are scored 0 in content, if the computer scores you 0 in content for that particular question, if it figures out that you have not spoken anything relevant, the entire question, you will be scored 0. You will get a 0 for fluency and pronunciation as well. So please remember this, that yes, you can make some small amendments, or small, you can avoid a few things, or you can be overlooked for certain things. The PT could overlook certain things, but if you just blindly follow templates without relevant content, even that could be a problem. So please, everything is about maintaining a balance. Nitin Chaudhary is asking that my oral score is 69, but I got only 19 in spelling. Can you suggest me how to improve? Okay, Nitin, although this does not have anything to do with fluency and pronunciation, the topic that we are discussing today, I would say that in spelling, please just practice your spellings, and spare some time to check your spellings, in fact. So wherever you need to use a keyboard, for example, summarize spoken text, essay, or summarize written text, or write from dictation, fill in the blanks listening, in all these tasks, make sure that you have time to check your spellings in the end. And for tasks where you're writing sort of a passage or writing a comprehension, which is around 50, 70 words or 200 words, check your spellings in reverse order. Check from the last word to the first word. That would help you to spot mistakes more easily compared to reading top down. Okay. Okay, Sumit is asking that if fluency effect in one question, will it affect the score only for that question or the entire section? For that particular question, yeah, but then it would be cumulative of all the questions and the cumulative score for the entire section. So yes, it would have a small dent on the overall score as well. But so if you make if you have an issue in one question, it affects one question. Okay, someone is asking that do we need to speak? Okay, Parmit Panchal, do we need to speak fast? Another question is, should we speak with the same pace across whole speaking section? Okay, this is a relevant question. So Parmit, yes, you need to speak fast, but fast enough. That means when you're speaking fast, you need to make sure that you don't compromise on the pronunciation and the accuracy aspects. You cannot compromise on pronunciation and accuracy and just keep on speaking fast. It could help you to improve your fluency and improve your speaking score, but then it would have an impact on the other skills or on other communicative skills scores. So make sure that you maintain a balance. And the second question that Parmeet asked is that should we speak with the same pace across the whole speaking section? Yes, it is recommended that you maintain a certain pace for all the 5 tasks of speaking. So try to maintain and try to make sure that there is not a lot of variation in the space in the read aloud, and then the pace that you have in describe image and the pace that you have in retell. Make sure that there is not a lot of variation. Okay. Try to maintain the pace. Okay, Tina Rajak asking that is there any apps to check how much we speak is caught by computer, like from speech to text? Will that be helpful? Yes, you can use apps to check how much the computer is catching from what you're speaking, and but I would suggest that none of that would be as close to what you have in your actual PTE test, actual PTE software. So what I would suggest is record yourself and listen for yourself and see how many words you are pronouncing correctly. And if required, you can seek professional guidance. Okay, Rakshit Mehra is asking, could you please share your repeat sentence strategy? I know shadowing would improve that part, but still any strategy improve that, as sometimes I get nervous in the exam that affects the memory. Okay, Rakshit, actually, this is a very good question. And I would definitely answer this one, that how to improve in repeat sentence and what to do when you're nervous in the exam and that affects your memory. So Rakshit, the first and the basic thing that you need to keep in mind is that you have 10 to 12 repeat sentences in your test and they come back to back. So you can say that in a span of around 3 to 4 minutes, everything is finished. It starts and it's over. The sentence comes, you repeat it, it comes, you repeat it, and this thing goes on, and in a span of 3 to 4 minutes, everything is over. So it is those 3 to 4 minutes where everything happens. So what you need to do is you need to be mentally prepared for that. And how you can be mentally prepared for that is do at least 30, 40, or 50 sentences in one single sitting. When you sit for one time to practice, do 50 sentences at a time. That would help you in 2 ways. That would train your brain to be prepared for the for those 10 or 12 sentences, because if you're able to withstand those 50 sentences and maintain your maintain the calm, that same thing it would be helpful for you during the test. And the second thing is that when you will be doing the practice, you will be doing such a so many sentences together, bulk practice you will be doing. So that would again be helpful to train your mind in a certain way. Now, one more thing or strategy about repeat sentences is that always start with the shorter sentences. If you're not able to remember longer sentences, start with smaller sentences. Start with sentences, normally sentences that you get in right from dictation, which are 3 to 5 seconds. First, try to master that. Try to master the sentences that you are having in right from dictation, which are 3 to 5 seconds, which are shorter ones. Make sure that you at least get 100% is in those type of sentences, and then go for the longer ones. First, try and master the shorter ones. Okay, Savan Mehta is asking, what are the tricks we can use in Describe image to finish it in 40 seconds, as I found it difficult due to less time. So Savan is asking the tricks for Describe image to finish in 40 seconds because he finds the time less. Okay, Savan, you need to understand that it is not important or not necessary to describe all the aspects of the image. You can even keep on talking about one or two things and finish in 40 seconds or even less than that. Even if you finish in 30 seconds, it's okay. So what I would suggest is there are a lot of describe image questions, like a lot of bar graphs and line charts that are available online. Select those which have a lot of information. See, there are two type of bar graphs or line graphs that you will get. Some that would have very less information and some that would have a lot of information. So when you have very less information, you're able to describe it very nicely. But when you find a lot of information, you're confused what to speak and what not to speak. So I would suggest that practice those kind of images that have a lot of information and try to find your way out of that. What are the aspects that you would speak and what are the aspects that you would ignore? Practice those kind of questions. Okay, Meenakshi, the same question you have asked is slightly different way, but the answer would be same, that when you try to speak fast and fluently, your pronunciation gets impact in describe image when you're trying to cover the whole topic. So it's not necessary to cover the whole topic. You can keep on talking about one or two aspects that you feel important. You have to give an brief overview. It's not necessary to talk about each and every element that is mentioned in the X or the Y axis or in the pie chart. You can just speak about one or two aspects or the general trends. Okay, Shruti is asking, does fluency get boosted if we speak more words in 40 seconds? Is grammar irrespective of the content? See, fluency depends on words per minute. So it essentially means that in how many seconds, how many words you are speaking and how smoothly you are speaking, that would so if you're speaking a lot of words, but if you're having a lot of umming and erring, then that would impact your score. Tina is saying that I get 10 and sometimes 30 in pronunciation. Can you let me know why I get 0 in pronunciation? I'm lacking in pronunciation. Okay, if you're lacking in pronunciation, I would suggest that somehow the computer might not be able to understand or not be able to accept your pronunciation. So for you, I have a very good resource. What you can do is, there is a book by Cambridge University, by the Cambridge Press. The name of the book is Tree or Three. And I'll just write down the name of the book in the whiteboard right here, or I'll be just typing down in the text this the text that I'm sending to you. So the name of the book is Tree or Three. This is by Cambridge. It is an elementary book, and then they have there are other versions of this which you can use. It is a sort of workbook that will help you to work on your pronunciation and fluency. Rashmi, I feel that I pronounce correctly. How do I get to know how is PT is evaluating my words? So if you just get some evaluation done by the professionals, that means just go to the just go to our online website, and there you can register for one-on-one coaching and get your get whatever you're speaking. You just get it evaluated. Our trainers, they would help you to identify the areas where you're making mistake, and then you can just work on that and improve that. And for everyone else, now that we are run out of questions, so I think this would be the end of the session. But before saying you goodbye, I'll just share the name of the book. That is an elementary book to prepare for the pronunciation. It is very basic. You can yeah, you can get this book and practice. It is by the Cambridge University Press. You can get this book. It would be really helpful for you. All right, guys, thank you very much for being here with us. I'm sorry. Thank you very much for being here with us, and I'll see you soon in the next webinar. Till then, keep on practicing. Follow PTE Tutorials website, and please give your honest reviews on the Facebook page of PTE Tutorials. That would help the other candidates who are appearing for PTE to make their decisions, to make a choice, so you can help them to take the right decision. All right, friends, see you then. Goodbye.